All right, I just apparently had to stop the share to restart the recording. So welcome everyone again to our this session, I guess, of the Bethesda Project Lunch and Learn series. I think I lost count, but maybe we're at number 7 or 8 now. So great to see returning volunteers and returning faces and people new to the organization as well. So this is a monthly series we've been doing since about the last couple of months. In order to engage with our community, provide some more insight about what we do, why we do it, and have people feel connected while our on-site volunteering is on hold. So we've been having a lot of guest speakers. Today you're stuck with me, I apologize, but hopefully I'll try to keep it light and fun and engaging, talking about some of our new and maybe not new, but you may not have known about virtual and remote opportunities. So I talk really quickly, I get really excited. So if at any point I ever say anything that you need clarification on, or I'm talking too fast, or for whatever reason, you know, feel free to take yourself off mute, stop me. If we start getting a lot of feedback, I'll put everyone on mute, but it seems like so far we've been doing okay. Yeah, if you haven't used Zoom before, I think we're now all on like our 1000th Zoom meeting. But feel free to use the chat box. I'll try to keep checking that a little more too. If you ever have questions or want to do things that way. Any questions before we get started? So, and just a little bit about how today is going to go. Those of you that are new to the organization, I'm going to get a little bit of history and an overview of our organization, and then really talk about those opportunities that we have now. And then I always like to let people know at the end of every meeting or session, you should always have a next step and knowing where to go from there. So if for some reason after the end of this 45 minutes, hour, you don't know what to do, please say something and we'll make sure you know what to do. So a little history about Bethesda Project. We're all started by a man named, at the time, Father Dominic. I think now he's Abbot Dominic. He was part of a prayer group out in the mainline. And they were a kind of informal group of volunteers that came to Center City and knew they wanted to help, and ended up taking over the lease of an organization called Mercy House that was a residence for women experiencing mental illness. So that was back in 1979. So a little over 40 years later, we now actually have 14 locations all around the city, serving over 1,500 men and women annually. And I like to mention that we were started by a Catholic priest, and that's kind of where our founding was. We are open to people of all faiths and no faiths for those that receive our services, and our volunteer pool as well represents people from all different faiths and backgrounds. But we do have that beginning as we started. Our name Bethesda Project actually comes from, in the Bible, Bethesda means house of mercy. And there was a pool there where those outside the city could find healing.
Many of the
so I think we're getting a little bit of feedback.
1800s have since disappeared. You can see
somebody's. Oh, looks like you took yourself on mute. Thank you. So yeah, so the organization that we took the lease over was called Mercy House, and Bethesda in Hebrew is House of Mercy. So that was an applicable name we felt. I know that was the 40-year history in 10 seconds. Any questions on that? Oh. Does anyone want to take themselves off mute and read the mission of Bethesda Project?
I can do it. The mission of Bethesda Project is to find and care for the abandoned poor and to be family with those who have none. Bethesda Project is a oh, you don't need that.
It's all right, yeah. That's just kind of our kind of statement, yeah, but what we do. But yeah, that mission, it's really important to us to find and care for the abandoned poor, that first part. I mentioned of, where our name comes from is those that were outside the city gates. So we find our roles for people that are kind of on the margins of society that may not find the help they need elsewhere. They may find they have nowhere else to turn, is where somewhere for them to turn to. And then that word family is really big with us. We'll talk about it probably 10 more times as we go through. I think we even heard it when people were introducing themselves. So we want to be family with those who may not feel that they have one. And so kind of our, little kind of elevator speech if you're like, wait, what does Bethesda Project do again? Kind of our 10-second spiel is that we are a nonprofit that provides shelter, housing, and supportive services to adults experiencing chronic homelessness in Philadelphia. So a little bit about those services in our structure, and it's a lot. So I realize this slide's a little busy, so I tried to fit it all on with hopefully most of the correct names that we're trying to use. So it's kind of broken down overall into kind of 3 different overall programs. So that first one is our entry-level programs for those kind of most currently on the street, as once again, what it sounds like, that kind of entry to Bethesda Project. I think we heard a little bit earlier, we have our church shelter program that actually has 4 spaces in the basements of churches around the city. 2 of them are year round and 2 of them are only in the winter. One of those, Old First Reformed, just closed recently for the winter. But yeah, so those are overnight shelters for guests, 3 men's, 1 women's shelter, just to kind of get off the street, get a place to stay there. Then we have Bethesda Project's My Brother's House, which is a safe haven for 20 men, which is for those experiencing chronic homelessness and a concurrent medical disability, mental illness, or substance abuse. So it's a little bit kind of more smaller, intimate setting than a large shelter. Then moving on, we have, we heard it, I think referred to earlier, but Bethesda Project's Our Brother's Place. So that's our large shelter actually owned by the city that we operate just north of Chinatown, and it has 149 overnight beds. And it serves additional, used to be walk-ins, now individuals during the day. And so those are all for people currently experiencing homelessness. We also have residences for those formerly experiencing homelessness. The majority of those are what are called permanent supportive housing, which incorporate single room occupancy. And then most of them have kind of communal bathrooms and kitchens for individuals to cook on their own. And then there are staff always on site. So it's basically housing, but with some additional supports. RAs usually on site 24 hours, and then case managers there during business hours to assist people with their needs. And then we have some completely independent residences. For all of those sites, individuals do pay rent, but to the best of their ability. There's a lot more with each site and some specifics, but that's kind of the overall view. We also have our administrative office on South Street. And I mention that because I think we refer to that in a little bit too. So you can see those pictures are actually from a, what's it called, mural or whatever the stained glass things are in front of my brother's house. So I know that was kind of a lot. Any kind of questions on all that? The 20-second spiel in 10 seconds. So like I said, we can always go into more detail on that, but just so you can see a little bit about our structure on who we serve and how we do it and all of the different locations we have. So a little bit more about our organization. We take our values from that of the social work profession. So first of all, service. In our volunteer orientations, I usually ask people, hey, what brought you here today? And most people said, well, I just want to help out, which is what we're here to do as well. But also with that social justice, look at our role in the community and systems of power and oppression and how those dynamics play out and what our role is in that. What's really important to us is the dignity and worth of all people. We'll get into that in a little bit in some of our philosophy. If you like working with people, that's great, so do we. And we're trying to do that as much as possible while still being virtual. We've been around for a while. We take what we do very seriously. So if for some reason you ever see anything you feel is unethical or fraudulent, please let staff member or community life know, and we'll make sure to address that. And same with competence. We've been around for a while. There's certain things we do which may not seem logical. There's maybe reasons why we do it. It may just be we've been doing it, and why not look to improve. So feel free to always ask questions. We're always looking to improve our processes. A little bit more about our philosophy is we believe in a housing first model. There are many concurrent issues when somebody's experiencing homelessness or can be, such as substance abuse, unemployment, things like that. So there was an idea for a while that before you could get anyone into housing, you had to address those other issues. but we ascribe to a housing first model, which is most important is to get a roof over that person's head and deal with that issue, because homelessness itself is a trauma and can be, can't look at the other things until you address that. So first of all is getting that housing and then looking at other issues. With that, we ascribe to a harm reduction model as a way of reducing negative behaviors, most commonly substance abuse. So all of our sites are low barrier to entry. We don't tolerate any violence or any alcohol or drugs on site, but if somebody's been using, we don't turn them away. We work with them and empower them to make what choices they feel are correct. And then kind of more for our staff, but I think everyone at Bethesda Project, we like to say we have the Bethesda Project way, which means we're always welcoming. One of the biggest things, when I walk down the halls is just learning people's names, saying hi to them. For people that have been used to being ignored and marginalized, it can be very powerful just to hear a hello. Being attentive to our guests and residents' needs and trying to accommodate those needs as much as possible. So that was a little bit about our philosophy and history and mission. Hopefully those values align with yours. Were there any questions on that? All right, so my role is what's called community life. So what does that mean? Well, that's kind of a term that's been developed over the years as we started from this informal group of volunteers and became a nonprofit with a board of directors. We didn't want it to feel corporate, but that people still felt like they had that sense of home and that family. So basically the role of community life is to make sure that the guests and residents feel like they have family here. So that includes working with volunteers, bringing in donations of supplies, and doing different events for our guests and residents to have that sense of family. So those are all things we've kind of had to adjust and figure out how to still have, but safely during these times. So you can see a group, it seems so long ago. I believe that was a Cheesecake Factory at Bethesda Project, my brother's house. But in normal times, and if we ever get back to normal, some of the things we have volunteers do at our sites are serving meals. A few of our sites have, you can see there, an actual kitchen with staff members that the volunteers can assist with. Other times volunteers bring their own and cook on site. That's a great way, to people to bond over food. Help clean our facilities, both inside and do landscaping, hosting games, bingo, board games, cards, things like that. We have a lot of volunteers that kind of use their skill sets, whether it's a volunteer that leads a meditation class, art class, things like that, to keep our guests and residents involved. And then helping out with some of those larger internal events we do for our guests and residents. And then also tabling at events out in the community, talking about our mission. So a lot of those are kind of in that format on hold, but we have a host of other opportunities. So first, getting into things you can actually do, are what I've kind of termed overall as resident wellness. So we've had volunteers make cards for us. You can see there was actually a company that did, we scheduled a time. They set up it was either Zoom or Teams or one of these softwares, but they had all of their about 10 or 15 employees on. They all kind of made cards together and made it a little bit more social too. So whether it's a corporate group or just you as an individual, also great for families, whether you're, artistic or not. You can make cards or even decorations for our sites, just something, to make people kind of feel, happy and feel part of the family while they may be a little bit isolating now in the current situation. Also, honestly, some people are just bored. They're sitting in their rooms with not much to do. So we have, actually, I can hold up a sample. We had a volunteer make these, if y'all can see, activity books. So in each one, there's some crossword puzzles, word searches. I think she put in some like yoga exercises you can do, some chair yoga, even for those that are less mobile. So, just little kind of either books or little kits. We had a group that did kind of big Ziploc bags and put in there, I think, little books like that. I think like a hand sanitizer, a mask, a granola bar. But, once again, just things for our guests and residents to do to keep busy and then feel connected to part of the community. And really, we have sites of all different sizes. So the amount, you get it to us and we can figure out where best to distribute it. We can also try to work to get first names at a site so you can kind of personalize them a little bit more. Any questions on that? All right, next we're very excited for, we have what we're calling a pen pal program. So this one's a little bit, I guess, a longer term commitment rather than just a one-time activity. But what we're doing is we are also working with our residents and Safe Haven guests and having them sign up, and we're having volunteers sign up. If you go on our website, you can see the link there, and I can also go to it. Can everyone see my screen still? Yeah, okay. If you go to BethesdaProject.org.
We're still seeing the presentation.
Oh, maybe I have to do new share. Okay. Okay, how about now?
Yep.
Okay. So if you go to BethesdaProject.org, you can see under Support Us, our Pen Pal program. You can see, a little bit basically what I'm talking about with the text there. And you can actually, sign up there. You can put different preferences. If you're already volunteering at one of our sites and want to, work with people at that site, or if you don't have a preference, and then, prefer gender, if you want to be matched with a specific person, you can put things like your interests and hobbies in. So we try to match people up as much as possible with those with similar ones. Let's see if I can. Let's see, technology. Yeah, we're good. So what will happen then is once we match you, then you basically write letters back and forth. We have a process in place, so it's secure. You're never giving away your address. The guest or resident isn't giving away their address either, but they're able to communicate. We kind of ask for at least once a month a letter, but ideally a couple times a month, 2 or 3 times a month, I think would be nice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all the. Were there any questions on that? We've just started it, so I would love questions on this because I'm not even sure what the questions would be yet. Laura, if you're talking, you're on mute. Sorry.
When you say a letter, do you mean a handwritten letter? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, that's good.
Actual paper mail. Yeah. So.
Which is different.
Exactly. And everyone's home now, so you're getting, mail. We know that. And yeah, we figured it was a nice chance to utilize that. We are providing, all the postage to our guests and residents. So there's also an option to help supply that, but none of the guests and residents are paying anything for it. It's all managed through the program.
And in terms of the process on that one, Jeffrey, I would imagine that we would just mail the letters to you or whichever facility the resident that we're matched up with is at, and then you would take the letter and deliver it like out of the envelope. Is that what you mean in terms of like protecting addresses?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. We're having it all go to administrative office. Oops, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, we're having it all go to our administrative office, and then we're sorting and sending from there. And then the guests and residents are also delivering it to the admin office, and then we're actually going to be doing the, putting it in an envelope and mailing.
I love this idea. It's great.
Thank you. I actually couldn't see who's talking. I'm sorry. So. Oh, was
sorry,
it?
It was me.
Oh, okay, sorry. For some reason, it didn't like highlight you. I don't know. Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited about it. Oh, I keep skipping ahead. And I'm sure there will probably be more questions as we explore it more. And we have, some tip sheets we're working on, subjects to talk about, things like that. So yeah, we definitely want people to feel supported in it. But I think it's a great way as we're all, quarantined and twiddling our thumbs to be able to make a difference and connect with some. All right, so I think we actually had somebody that mentioned that they had done some bag lunches before, but we're introducing what's called a Tuesday lunch. So those of you that are in Volgistics, our volunteer database, I will actually show you where the shifts are. So those of you that are in our volunteer database, to get to Volgistics, you just go to BethesdaProject.org, and under Support Us, you go to Volunteer. And then at the bottom of the page, it says, current volunteers, please log in here. We usually keep it a little more, it's usually a little more active when we have all these on-site volunteer opportunities. I have to remember my login name. But this is our homepage of that, and usually people click on my schedule. You can see there's not, no, it's not.
We're just seeing the PowerPoint still, if that's
not what you intended. Sorry, I forgot to do the new share. Also, it's not showing up. Huh, that's weird. Sorry, I forgot to switch to this.
I've never done that in my life.
Oh, share screen. Yeah, so once again, it's BethesdaProject.org. And then volunteer at the bottom, it says, usually we have this for people that are signing up for shifts for like serving meals at our brother's place, things like that. And for some reason it's not showing up. Oh, because I'm in here. Wait, what? They literally just signed in. All right. Yep. Here's the home page. And then oh yes, thank you. Sorry, I haven't been checking the chat screen. So thank you everyone for monitoring that. Yep, this is being recorded. So we're going to, sorry, my schedule, and for some reason it's not showing up now, but maybe for some reason it had been when I looked at it last. All right, well, either way, here's the calendar. For some reason it's not showing, but we'll have it showed up on Tuesday, every Tuesday at noon. It'll say, like lunch drop off, whatever you want to call it. For some reason it's not showing up now. And you can just click on that. If you don't have access to Volgistics, or for whatever reason aren't able to log in, you can always contact me and I can just add it in the back end. But that's the way we figured we could manage it. All right. So basically, anyway, long story short, there are 2 shifts I made it just for 30 lunches because I figured that would incorporate most sites. So just Tuesday at noon. Can drop off some of those bag lunches to our administrative office. Once again, at 1630 South Street. Why I like the shifts is so then we know exactly, who's going, and then we can kind of split it between our sites. So like as I mentioned, we have 14 different sites. So we can, make sure everyone gets one every Tuesday. When you're making these lunches, we ask you just follow the USDA food safety guidelines. I'll also email out a copy of this PowerPoint, so you will be able to click on the link. Basic food safety guidelines, and then whatever you want to put in there is fine. Just please label it. So if something has peanuts in it, that's fine. Just label it so then we know. And if somebody is allergic or anything, we can make sure to let them know. So I just kind of had some sample bagged lunch ideas I came up with off the top of my head. Whatever floats your boat that you want is more than welcome. It could be in a brown bag if you would like it in another container, that is fine too. It just seemed like brown bags are kind of the default. But yeah, any questions on that? This would be great, yeah, for an individual, for a family, for a group, as long as I guess you pack them socially distanced. Yeah. Questions?
So,
yeah.
just to clarify, when you sign up for a shift, are you signing up to bring 30 bag lunches?
Yes.
Awesome.
That way, just kind of like a regular, we know on Tuesdays we're getting it. Sometimes when I explain things in my head, it may not, translate to that. So definitely if you have questions. So then in terms of kind of dropping other things off, with supplies, you can check always on our website, has an updated list on our highest needs. We also have an Amazon wish list, including one we made kind of specifically for coronavirus. So that has different supplies. You can either order it and have it sent directly to us, or have it sent to you and then drop it off. We do ask if you have it directly sent to us, just in the comments, to make sure you put your name so we know who it's from, because sometimes things just show up and we don't really know who it's from. We need to make sure for our records we know who that is. And then instead of just you, we've had some people kind of talk with all their friends and family and kind of get a big group and donate a whole van full of stuff together. That's good too. Oh, sorry, there's a question back to the Tuesday lunch. That means if you would want to do 60 lunches, that's fine. It's more like if 60 was too much for somebody, that they could do 30. So you could also sign up for both shifts and do 60. It's just that there's two different options. So if it was like one person doing it, they didn't feel like they had to do 60 lunches. Does that make sense?
I had one more question about that.
Yeah.
So for the drop off, so you could just sign up for like one Tuesday, right? It wouldn't be like you have to. Okay, so you do one Tuesday, and then is there a certain time, like if we drop something off that needs refrigerated?
Noon. I thought it said noon. Yep, noon.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's a good point. I should edit that.
Okay, so drop off would be at noon on Tuesdays.
Yep. No, I think I had it on there. I took it off. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah.
Sure.
Noon
yeah,
on Tuesday. Let me change that right now before I forget. Oh. Oh, maybe that's why I cut off. Okay, just before I forget. All right. Yeah, any questions on that? Sorry, before moving on. Yep, so you would just be signing up to do 30 lunches at noon on a Tuesday, but you could also do 60 and do both shifts if you want.
Oh, sorry, one more question. So if we wanted to sign up for something like that, how would we create a volunteer account to log into that portal?
Yes, I'm sorry, it's not showing me who's.
Oh, sorry, me, Morgan.
Okay,
Goff.
yeah. So yeah, I don't think you've gotten in our, that's weird, it's not like switching to the person. Yeah, I don't think you've come through and filled out the application with everything going on, but yeah, you would get in our database.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, you would see it that way. But once again, if anyone's not in our database, like if you want to bring lunches, we'll make it work. That was just
okay, cool.
for me to track. But.
So we could just fill out like a volunteer application form?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Our kind of normal processes, I think, are kind of all kind of out of it right now. So yeah, normally, yeah, fill out the application and come through that.
Totally.
But yeah, no worries. If you want to bring lunch on a Tuesday, we will make it work.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions about the Tuesday lunch? So yeah, and then the other thing I think we heard somebody talk about is our casseroles. Casserole is just kind of a big term for it being in a casserole dish. It doesn't have to be a specific casserole per se, but for years we've had volunteers bring casseroles to our sites. What's easiest usually is one of our sites actually has a big deep freezer, so we kind of have all of our casseroles go there, and then we distribute from different sites. But if you're interested in making some food and bringing it, we can direct to the correct location. And then we've had volunteers sponsor a meal, which is basically ordering delivery from a local restaurant. Once again, our sites range from, our smallest site is technically 4 people, up to, our biggest residence is 49 residents. We have 150 at our brother's place. So depending on, your interest, we have all different sorts of amounts to sponsor of a meal. And that's great too, because it also supports the local economy. So we've had some volunteers do that, which has been, a nice change of pace for our guests and residents.
Jeffrey, could you just give an example about some of the, when we approach you and say, well, I want to sponsor for a certain number of residents, and you pick out a site, and you could suggest a restaurant that we could order from, or is that how it would work, or how would it work?
Yeah, definitely. We could suggest some of the partners that we have and other ones that we've worked with in the past. But basically, yeah, once you kind of identify the size you're looking for, I would connect with the specific site, who can kind of talk about logistics, if there's any certain dietary issues or kind of preferences there too. Because one site may love pizza and the other site may say, you know what, like, actually they're not really big fans of pizza. So it also kind of depends on the site themselves. So then I would connect with that site coordinator who would kind of do the more specific logistics.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Some of our supply needs, I guess I should say, because that's what I thought you were going to ask, which would have been a good thing for me to point out. We've had like, PPE on there for a bit and cleaning supplies. Now we're getting in as, kind of the things kind of open up a little bit more with that, the supply chains. We also have some microwavable meals for some of our sites, and hopefully moving back, eventually to our kind of normal donation needs of clothing, either new or gently used, wallets, belts, linens, things like that. So what it is right now may change tomorrow, so you can always go to our website for the latest. Questions on that? So one thing I could probably use today is that we're introducing is called our tech team. So those of you that are far better than me at this, but we've had, some volunteers, we've been doing these lunch and learns over Zoom, and some volunteers may have some hesitation using it, haven't used it before. So assisting other volunteers with that. And then we're also trying to work on, getting some of our guests and residents to do different things over video calls, whether it's, some of our like spirituality sessions or meditation or just talking with our volunteers and outside individuals. So helping them navigate that technology. So it would probably be, calling and walking them through those steps over the phone through that. So it wouldn't necessarily be a shift, right? It would kind of be as needed. And I would assume pretty light. But I think it'd be nice to have those resources available as, this technology is kind of becoming the new normal, and I think we'll be using for a while. So those of you, once again, far better than me at using technology, this might be of interest to you. So this one's a fun one, bingo. So we've actually been doing bingo, at our sites for a while. Everyone loves it. And another organization actually has done successfully that we're going to try to implement is kind of virtual bingo. So how that works is whoever's, if you're hosting it or you have a group or somebody that's hosting it, you would drop off small prizes for that site the day before. So once again, we would work with a size of a site that would be of interest to you. This would be, things almost from Five Below or, the dollar store. We're not talking about super extravagant prizes. But just kind of nice things. We also can, sometimes supplement that if we have some nice toiletries, or you could see there, I think we got some tasty cakes donated. So fun things like that. So you would drop that off at the site beforehand, and then we would set up a call. And whether if just you wanted to do it, if you had a group and all of you joined it, but whoever wanted to could join that call. And they would basically go to a website that spins the bingo balls, and you would call the numbers from home from your computer, and then we would have staff on site that would assist those guests or residents and help with the prize distribution and things like that. But it's kind of a fun way we figured that we could still have bingo and have our volunteers engaged while still keeping social distancing. So with the timeline for that, it would kind of be flexible. We would just work with sites in your schedule to find a time that would work for that. And once again, you could have, people from all over just join that call. And you would kind of, we're working on getting webcams for all of our sites. Some of them have, some don't. So you would be able to see into that site as well. Does that make sense? Everyone still with me? Thumbs up. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. I'll take silence as yes. Thank you. Sometimes it's hard with the virtual format to say hi to everyone. So we also have another thing that's kind of as an on-call schedule, or kind of varies, is we get different maybe businesses that say they have a donation for us, or just other things going on that we need to get a donation pickup or supply distribution. Sometimes it may even involve taking things from one of our locations to other locations. That can be done perhaps either in a car or a regular size van that doesn't need our big cargo van we have. So this would involve using your own vehicle. It wouldn't really be going into the sites at all. It would just be, handing the things off to whoever was receiving, and whatever the opposite of receiving is, distributing on that end. But it might be a little bit physical. You can see sometimes it could be boxes of things, moving it in and out of your car, maybe walking up steps. So we do want to impose that it might be physical. But yeah, that's a way we figured we could have some individuals help out while not technically going into any of our sites. Questions on that?
So this would be include moving materials from one site to another, or?
Yeah. Yeah, for example, like some of the sites we have most of our supplies at, it may say, oh, we need, this site now needs 20 masks and 10 bottles of Lysol or whatever. And then, it involved taking it from that site to another site.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that one? All right, we've also had some volunteers and businesses do different kind of third-party fundraisers. So this one's pretty open to what you want. We've had people do it over Facebook. We had a class that kind of talked about doing like a fundraiser where they learned facts about homelessness, and then kind of did a fundraiser online where they had to raise a certain amount of money, and then they would get to the next fact. So it was both a fundraiser and a little bit educational for them. We recently had a corporate partner that did a car wash fundraiser for us. So once again, the possibilities are kind of, whatever creativity you might have, but it's definitely a way for us, to make sure that we have enough resources to continue meeting our mission. So yeah, I have, once again, I'll send out the slides at the end, but our communications person can help kind of on that with, clarifying some of those ideas and making sure it's all following our brand and everything like that. But like I said, that one's pretty open to whatever you want. On some of these hot days, I feel like getting a car wash, you know, get a be nice and cool. All right. And then, especially with some, you know, doing virtual things, we're always looking for individuals that have specific skill sets. Some of the things like we've talked about is having somebody help with SEO optimization, grant research, researching potential partners, so different things with like research online. So some may be more kind of basic skills, some may be with the SEO a little bit more specific, but just, you know, helping us in these situations. You have specific skills for tasks that can be done virtually. And then with all of this, if you have either a specific skill or background or just an idea, definitely let us know, and, you know, we'll see if we can make that happen, because we're all kind of learning as we're going now, and we're definitely open to anything. So I know that one's a little bit more vague, but those are, like I said, are a couple examples of some things we're thinking for specific skill-based support. Looks like there's some questions in the chat. All right. SEO, I wish I could define it. I believe it's search engine optimization, so maybe it doesn't need to be. Thank you, yeah. I figured somebody else out here would know much better. I am not requesting that, but one of my colleagues is. So, okay, yeah, search engine optimization. So what I believe it is like when you type, you know, homeless organizations in Google, then we would be the first thing that would come up. Yeah, helping to boost. Yeah, so it looks like we have a lot of people on this call that know a lot about it. So, yeah.
I had a Google.
Maybe we found our options right here, but yeah. So for example, like that, but I believe it's a little bit more, yeah, tech, you know, some a little bit more specific things with that. Cool. Yeah. So any questions on that, or anyone have any other things they were thinking about? Yeah, strategic use of keywords.
In addition to the pen paling, can you hear me?
Sorry, you're a little.
You guys hear me now?
Yeah, thank you.
Stupid. Yeah. In addition to the pen paling, have you guys considered like setting up like one-to-one Zooms for like personal interaction with the guests?
Yeah, so we've looked into that. That big issue is the technology. We did have staff on reduced schedules, so we're at full staffing again. So I think that will help. And then we're working on just getting the technology. Some of our guests and residents do have phones. Some are maybe a little bit limited on the minutes and what they can access, but yeah, it's definitely something that we're looking into. But we figured for the short term, pen pals. Good question. So yeah, so next steps, if you are new to our organization and aren't already in, I will send out the link to get in our database, our Volgistics, our volunteer database. If you're not on our general Bethesda Project mailing list or kind of want some more information about any of this, you can go to BethesdaProject.org. If you want any more information on this or have a specific way you think you could help out, you can just always contact communitylife@BethesdaProject.org. It ultimately gets to me, but it's easier to remember than my email. So it's a group box, communitylife@BethesdaProject.org. Oh, keep doing that. And I don't know if it's quite made its way out yet, but we actually have a volunteer social, a virtual volunteer social. We have on Thursday, August 13th, which I think 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks from today. It was, it's 2 weeks from this coming Thursday at 6 p.m. in the evening. It'll be, I think we've already sent out the link, but we'll send it again. It'll be a fun evening of games and trivia and fun, if I didn't already say that. I guess food, if you want to bring food, that's up to you. But we're excited, and once again, just another way to connect a little more informally than these lunch and learns.
So
And
Jeffrey,
anyone on this call is definitely invited.
thank you. That's actually the week, that's orientation week. So would this be appropriate for, say, our incoming students who are thinking about, who might be interested in volunteering at Bethesda House? Would this be an appropriate event for them to attend, or is this for people who've already volunteered?
They're more than welcome. It's going to not be very, I think, educational per se. It'll be more, you know, games. It'll be some trivia. They're more than welcome to come, I think, but it won't be necessarily, it won't be like an orientation.
It's a social event.
It's a social event, but yeah, they're more than welcome to come. Sure. I guess we were talking about numbers too. Are we talking about a couple people or like, you know, 50 people?
Well, again, it's hard to judge.
Right. Yeah.
You might be the only game in town that, you know, all these people are going to have to choose volunteer projects. So
right.
It might be, well, all these people, it might be like, I'm thinking it would be a handful at most.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think we have a couple like different groups and group coordinators on here. So yeah, we can always talk offline too about what that looks like. But yeah, it's really, you know, open to everyone. It is virtual. Yes, sorry.
But I want to share, you know, thank you for offering to send the PowerPoint, and I would like to share this with the students.
Definitely, yes. And we'll also make a copy of this recording available too.
That would be fantastic, because that would kind of get them the information they need to decide if it's a good fit for them.
Great, yeah. And yeah, I think we'll be able to use this video when people just ask me, hey, what do you have? And we can kind of, you know, at least condense it to the part about the specific opportunities. But with all this going on, we figured we'd kind of make it a little more formalized, as formal as I am.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I answered this in case you missed it, but yeah, it is virtual volunteer socials. So probably Zoom. Actually, I think it is Zoom. We already set up a link. And yeah. If I didn't mention already, it's going to be super fun. Were there any other questions? I didn't have any pictures of puppies, so of course I had to include a puppy in there. That's actually one of our staff members' dogs that joined us for one of our 5Ks. But yeah, also we're very active on social media. So we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I believe we're going to try to put this, I mean, we'll send out the link through Zoom, but also try to put a copy of this on YouTube. Great, thank you so much, Deirdre. Were there any other questions? Wow, I talk a lot. It's almost 1.
This is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we'll all stay on if anyone has any other questions. Thank you all so much for joining us. Hope to see you on August 13th. Hope to see you on August 13th. But like I said, I'll stay on if there's any other questions.
And we just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Thank you.
Lovely to see you again, as always.
See you again soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
So Jeffrey, I had you get a couple minutes to hang out. I mentioned our virtual volunteer fair.
Yes.
Last time we met, and so I'll have Carol reach out for you.
I'm gonna stop the recording right now because I think. Yeah.